Well, this is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for Avoid the Maze with my friend. See, he's walking to his chair into the computer. And everyone, this is Jim Ballard. And, you know, if you don't live in Northeast Ohio, I hope you know how to Google and listen to his wonderful music. Because, Jim, I met you a couple years back, and I knew the name. I had listened to some of your music, but it really wasn't until I saw you perform in Peninsula that I truly knew that you need to be worldwide because your music is that good.
Well, thank you.
And so
We feel
you're
pretty good.
yeah. So when did you decide that music was going to be your career?
Oh my gosh. I had already played music, you know, in high school bands and such. Then I got drafted and went off to all of that. And when I came back from that, I really had no plans of playing music. But my old buddy, who's since passed away from us, Jammin' Paul, here in Akron, came over to my apartment and sat down for 2 hours and talked me into being in a band. This was 1974. And so I was at the time working at a publishing company, had an actual real job and everything. So, but I joined Paul's band, and then not far out of that, I decided I kind of caught the bug again and began to write my own songs again, and went out and got myself a nice Martin and started playing coffee houses. And that's pretty much was the genesis of all that.
Well, I'm sort of grateful that you made that transition because, like I said, your music really moves me. And I know so many other people who are enlightened by not only your creations, but you even, you know, performing something from somebody else. You just bring it on and you put yourself into it. And I know you have something big happening this Friday, and I'm so excited that Rich and I are going to be part of it, because every time we say we're going to come hear you play, something happens. And I have put posters all over the post notes all over the house. Make no plans. This is where we're going on Friday. So
I have two. I did that too.
So tell us a little bit about what got you to put together a new album.
Just that I was writing, and you can't stop. This is the 16th album, and with my band, The Strangs, who will be with me Friday, it's our 5th together, believe it or not. And just the fact that I love the process. I love that, you know, you get the idea for the song, the song becomes, then you get the idea for the arrangement, and the arrangement becomes, and you get the idea for what the band members can all do, and you throw it out to them and they bring their input to the table. And that's exciting because you didn't think of that, they did, you know, and it makes it better. So it's just the whole process I love, you know. And then when it comes to fruition, which is going to happen Friday evening, because we've played the songs, we played some of them out. We recorded them a little bit at a time. The pandemic was not a help. And, but the songs have never been played by the band all at one time in order, which is what we're going to do on Friday evening. Yeah. So.
I mean, that is interesting. So it's like how they were written and how they got recorded. That will be the order, correct?
Yeah. And strangely, album order doesn't always work out to live set order, but this works out pretty well as far as how we want the energy to run. So we're going to play them right in order of the album. And then we're going to take a little break from that first set. We call it the album set. And then we'll come back and play songs from all the other albums for the rest of the evening, so that we can make it worth the drive all the way out, you know?
Well, it's not that far of a drive. Come on. I mean, you know, it's, oh, there's the album
There's the
cover.
album.
Wow.
I guess I can, let me take it out because it's got shiny package lights on it. And we're very proud of it. My friend Ted at TH Design really laid out all the art for it, for the cover, and it just came out really nice. And inside, here we go,
I see. Yes.
full album cover, and then it has all
Very
this,
nice.
Follow the Moon, and it's all the songs are about sort of time, place, circumstance, transition. There's no Moon Swoon June love songs kind of on it, but they're really all about love. But they're more about situations and earth and heaven and time moving, and they just seem to work together. They got a little moon on the inside, and then we have a, believe it or not, where is it here? A lyric sheet of all the lyrics.
Oh, now I can sing in the shower. I love it.
Yeah, and this is somewhat waterproof if you put it back in the little package.
Little case.
Yeah.
I
So,
love
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how long have you been together with the Strands?
Going on 5 years.
So before then, you were basically singing and writing independently?
Well, yeah, there's a little longer story to it than that. In the early 90s, I kind of gave up on going on the road and having a band and playing live just because it just got to be more other things than music.
Right.
So that's when I built my studio and I began to produce other artists, record a lot of bands. I never left music. I just began to go up a different road for it. Did a lot of film soundtracks and that kind of thing. And luckily, I learned a lot of things that I didn't expect to ever use again, writing songs. I thought I was done. But Charlie Wiener put on his series of concerts starting in about 2014, I think, 2012, 2014, concerts of tributes to Northeast Ohio artists. We did John Bassett and Alex Bevan. We did Michael Stanley, luckily. And I kind of got drawn back into it. He asked me to play, and kind of got drawn back into it and realized that I missed it and I liked it a lot. And I played sometimes a solo song or two, or sometimes I would get some side folks and play with a sort of pickup band. And I went, oh, I like this. This is great. So at the time I began writing again and kind of doing the albums on my own, which was where the John Steinbeck album got started. Kind of had fleshed most of it out, but I played the Michael Stanley tribute concert, and the guys who were playing with me, part of whom are in my band now, said, dude, if you're going to play these, if you're going to record these songs, which I already had, if you're going to record these songs, we'd love to play with you. And I'm thinking I'd be stupid not to do that. So I scratched all I had done and started the album over again to include all of them on it. And that's
Nice.
what became that double album. Yeah. And so from there, and I said to them, they said, now when we're finished, they said, now you need to take this out and play these songs out. And I said, I don't want to do that. But they kept leaning on me. And so eventually we went out and put some shows together and got received very well. And it just went from there. So that was 2017. So it's 5 years ago. And we've been playing as the Strangs ever since. And I play still solo, and I play with a string or two, Yeah. But I like to play with the full band. It's really great fun.
I love
and they're
that.
great musicians. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what happened during the pandemic, because for musicians like yourself, some took that time to develop in their writing and in their production, but so many others really suffered from the fact that they couldn't go out and play. And either they suffered emotionally and financially. And I know that during the pandemic, we were lucky enough to see you play in the Kenmore neighborhood. That was a great evening. But still, we were trying to, be separate from everybody because it was a dangerous time. So
Yeah.
how's it now getting out and performing?
For me personally, I feel relatively safe at this point. I got all the vaccines I could from the beginning and stayed that way. I've already had the COVID. And
We all
and my
have.
wife- yeah, pretty much everybody has. And it's, thank God, been a milder version of it. And you're vaxxed, and it was like having a bad cold. That's the stories I'm hearing. Not that it's still not serious, but I feel like I've crossed the line where I feel safe enough that if I do get it, I'm probably going to be okay. Maybe the CDC will check me on that, but everybody's that's been getting it have been having that thing, and
Right.
everybody in my band has had it. Everybody in most of the bands I know have had it, and that's because we're out playing venues. Some of our fans have had it, but luckily, again, it's always been at least manageable. And so I feel that we're at that point, and I hope that none of this morphs to where it's highly contagious and really bad.
Right.
So
Exactly.
we stay there, we're okay. Having said that, I have no problem with anybody who when it can wear a mask when they go somewhere, and I do too. Come to see us and wear your mask. Don't come and see us if you're still not comfortable. God bless you. I don't want anybody to ever feel uncomfortable, because this was a dark time for the
This
whole world.
was.
It was a strange and dark time. And I personally lost 5 people who I knew who were friends or relatives during this, and then personally had several other friends or relatives who were really down to the bottom with it, and thank God came back. So now, just coming out, we feel pretty good about coming out and playing. As far as the music and the creativity, I stayed really busy. We released 3 albums during the pandemic.
Wow.
And they were none of them meant to be out. I call them the accidental albums. We were scheduled to play at the Rialto in 2019 or 2020, I'm sorry. And we moved the date. It was in March, right when it all hit.
Right.
We moved the date back to September, naively thinking, things will clear up by September. And we got, excuse me, we got to September, and we said, no, it's not going to happen. Nobody was going to come anyway. So
Right.
we said, let's keep the date. Let's go and live stream it, which we did. And Rialto was able to multi-track record you. So they almost pristine. We said, this is good studio stuff. So there was an album. And then during the time, I made 42 videos from my house, from my home studio, where I just sat down and played my songs. Then I sent them out to other musicians, including my bands. They made tracks on them and sent them back to me, and I assembled them. And the first one we called Quarantine Kitchen, and the second one we called the Kitchen Tapes. And they all came out really listenable. And so kind of the accidental albums while we were on hold to make this one. So
how wonderful.
Now we finally got to that, and I feel really good about it. We're happy, but we're very proud of it. It came out great. And that's not always the case.
So are there still tickets to be had for Friday night's performance?
Yeah, there are. And you can find them if you go to the Rialto Theater in Akron. They have a website. I think it's rialto.com. They have an events part, and then it'll take you to each event, and you can get tickets for that event. And then anybody who knows me, on my wall, I keep reposting the ticket link. It'll take you straight to it. Yeah.
So we're going to make sure we put that in the show notes as we push this out this afternoon, because again, I am blessed that, and I almost want to call it accidentally, got to meet you and Alex and Charlie and John through somebody that I met in upstate New York. And Andy said to me one day on the phone, hey, you need to call these guys. These guys are terrific. And I'm not sure who put it together, if it was John or Charlie, but they got you all together, and we met in a coffee house, and I just felt like, hey, this is my family. I know these guys, and I'm just amazed at the music that you all perform. And I'm amazed at Charlie being so funny as well.
They're first of all, they're my brothers. We've known each other forever. I think between us, we put out over 200 albums. It's crazy. And it's just they're each one of them. I just am privileged when I sit down on a stage next to them or stand on a stage next to them. They're so wonderful. And that's to be said about the whole Northeast Ohio thing.
Yes.
There are so many good people here that if you're paired up with somebody, it never sucks. It's always really good, and to watch that interplay and that, between all the musicians and the different approaches and styles, but it's all a high bar. And young players, middle-aged players, old players like me, everybody is just so good and so dedicated. So it's a joy to be part of it.
And one of the reasons I enjoy podcasting with you and other artists is that so many of us have this image that musicians, they're in a place all by themselves and they only care about themselves and, getting their record to be number one. And yeah, that would be great to have a number one. It'd be great to, have money rolling in from everything. But I'm realizing that musicians, more than any other career group I've ever talked to, you're a family. You help each other out. You may be listening to something that somebody else is playing and you may say, hey, I have an idea. And you throw in your idea. Do you have any idea why musicians are like this? And so many of us in other fields, we walk around not wanting to share anything.
I think largely musicians are that way. Not all of them. There's the same kind of thing going on behind the scenes sometimes, but mostly musicians know we're kind of in the boat together, and there's an empathy, there's an understanding and a brother sisterhood about that, of us being in the trenches together, doing a thing that we know is difficult, that we know is hard sometimes to get across or to get an audience to accept. And we all understand those trials, sort of those and tribulations. And so there's just a sharing empathy and a synergy there. And then there's also the idea that in a lot of cases, you can be inspired by them all the time. I don't know. I love doctors because they fix you, but I don't know if they inspire each other as much. But,
Yeah.
but we get ideas from each other, give each other ideas, help each other with the music, with the art. And so I think that when that happens, and that's what happens usually, that's kind of a magic,
Absolutely.
And that can be between singers, songwriters, or it could be between yourself and, for instance, my band. All of them have written some songs, but I'm the songwriter of this band. What they bring to me is their expertise and their heart and their soul, because again, they'll play something that you have a song and you've written and you have a guitar part in mind or a vocal part in mind, or you have the arrangement in your head, and then you fall in love with it and you can't get it out. It's your brain worm, And then they play something different, and at first sometimes you go, well, that's not what I had in mind, because your brain wants to do that. But then if you sit back and take a breath and go, actually, that's better than what I had in mind. And they have the heart and the wherewithal to do that. That's their expertise. So, and we have so many singer-songwriters and original artists in Northeast Ohio, but we have equally as many people who are in those bands who are as good as anybody in any touring band.
Absolutely.
And that's what their expertise is. So I should get some of them over here.
Yeah, let's introduce them.
Hello. We do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, you guys.
Yeah.
Come on
Yeah.
over here.
Hey, we're being summoned here, fellas.
Summoned.
This is Wes
How
McCraw.
are you?
Hey, how are you?
Hello.
There's Joe Lang. He plays our drums.
Don't hold that
And
against.
sometimes other people's drums.
Yeah.
And Bill Watson back here. So,
I know I'm not on.
so- yeah, but, and this is
Well,
Karen. You
I
guys?
am so excited to be able to see you all live in person on Friday. Oh, absolutely. You know, I wrangled an invitation from Jim. But as I've been telling Jim, I've been doing these type of interviews with musicians now for about 8 years. And I find the modesty that you gentlemen have is like unbelievable because you have such great talent, but it's like you just enjoy using it. It's not necessarily that you're waiting for somebody to give you a statue. Is that true, or am I believing something that's not?
Got a statue. We'll
Yeah,
take it,
Bill
but
has a
yeah.
statue.
I think most of us are enough musicians to know that there's a lot better players out there, you know. We just do it for the fun of it.
The-
you know, 'cause
the t-shirt.
It's our, yeah.
It's what we do.
We
Yeah.
work for food and whatever they, you know, beer, whatever they'll give us.
Well,
For
and
Yeah,
I,
they-
oxygen.
You guys are too modest.
but I hope our listeners hear that so many musicians truly are doing it because it's their passion, it's their love. They have a story to tell. I mean, it's like, you know, listening to you, Jim, sing your song when you were on one side of the world and your bride was on this side of the world, and you looked up at the moon and you both knew that you were connecting. And I don't even have to hear the song to know what a great connection that is. And I've used that with a number of my friends and relatives who live a distance from me.
Yeah.
And my youngest son right now is living in New York. And the other day I said to him, we're both going to go outside and look at the moon. And he goes, Mom, it's raining here. I said, I don't care. Go outside anyways.
We had a couple of years ago, we were playing that for songwriters at the GAR Hall in Peninsula. And we had a full house for the evening. And I had this plan, but the audience didn't know it. I had put that song up on YouTube, just kind of a demo version of it. And there's a young man in Yemen who had texted me that he loved this song. So, I made sure he had a copy of it. I sent him a copy of it in Yemen as an MP3 so he could have it with him. And he would get on and rave about this song. Well, as you know, Yemen's like one of the worst places on earth to live now
Right.
because of the civil war that's been going for several years. Well, that was at the time very raging, and he's like 23 years old and right in the middle of all of that. His family had to move. So I got a hold of him and I said, I'm going to be playing this song to an audience full of people on this night, probably right about, 10 p.m. my time. So for you, that's like 5 a.m. out in the Yemeni desert. If you go out to the desert and check out the moon at that time, know that I and my whole audience know you're there, and we're going to be singing this song to you while you're looking at the moon. And I didn't tell the audience until right then when I sang the song, and the whole audience just sang the song together as soon as they learned it. And so it was the same kind of thing you're talking about. It was just a way to connect humans with humans, and it just bowled him over. He was, I hope it gave him hope. He was in just an untenable situation.
Sure.
And but just to know that we could sing halfway around the world to him live at that moment and have him out in the desert looking at the moon was
I love it. I love it.
a lot of things. But
So what I'm going to do after I get this up, I'm going to push it out on social media. We're going to ask people to please come to the Rialto on Friday night. But how can they purchase the new album?
it's available on my website, which is jimballardmusic.net. It's available for digital download on Bandcamp. Just look up Jim Ballard on Bandcamp and all of the albums are on there. So they're on there. Just put them on just this week, just because we're finally coming up to this point where we're going to release it. So they're on there. And of course, if they go to the concert, they get a free album.
Well,
Every
hey,
It's a free album. So
that's even, I mean, that's a great present. So
Deal.
I think people should show up on Friday night. Again, I hope to just sit back and relax and take all the music in. It's been a while since I've heard you play, and I
while
can't
since
wait.
people have seen you, so
Hey guys, thank you for joining us. I look forward to seeing you all on Friday night. And I probably won't remember all of your names, but that's okay. I'll know that you're great musicians.
No test.
Cool.
Thank you so much for
Yeah, thank
having
you.
us on here, and looking
Appreciate
forward to
it.
seeing you on Friday.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
see you
Bye-bye.
then. Be good.
Bye.